Hey, I'm Danielle Van Tress, Salk, and I'm going to read you some poetry. I write against the clock with jumping off points given to me, and they're timed, and I don't know when it's going to end. I just write as fast as I can. The jumping off point for this one was in the beginning. In the beginning, I think there was gasoline and too much stress, the weight of 1,000 sorrows strapped across the back for one man to bear. That would be Grandpa Robinson, my grandfather's dad, my mother's grandfather, this fatherhood being passed down through too poor of hands, stretched out across the garage, reaching. How for the sheer will of not being able to endure the depression, he picked up that can of gasoline, that rusty in the garage for emergencies can of gasoline, and brought it to his despondent lips. The sheer terror, I imagine, of feeling nothing, of feeling so much of nothing that he would swig that down like a coveted bottle of Old Crow or Jim Beam or some bootleg whiskey with a name of a man or a bird, or maybe just desperation, and drink. What then, I asked 100 times. And how he didn't die but became an invalid, no longer able to speak or even perhaps to think. Did he do it? Did he divorce his depression, I'd ask? Did he escape? But all that follows ever in that story is a stepfather to my Grandpa Paul, a police officer who came in and took the generation to the finish line. I begin in the garage with the rusty gasoline can. I come from the drinking and the forgetting, how there is so much life that was lived, loved, lost, miracles endured, before I, some 50 years later, sat crunched on the floor with my face hovering over the gasoline pit in my neighbor's garage, how he let me smell it, the smell I still love to this day, how this has never seemed a coincidence until now. I come from poor Kansas, Kansas without a county or a city or a town, just that poor part we call Kansas when my mom recollects single sheets of toilet paper rationed out to each one's use. How my Grandpa Paul, the fatherless father, raised his family out of poverty to become the governor of Alaskan territories, to write the Alaskan state plank resulting in the Constitution. This poor boy, this fatherless dad. My mom's mom loved the poor boy from Kansas, her high school English class student, 5 years her minor. How he courted her for years and came back from the war a lieutenant in the army to win her favor at last, her submission to the improbability of it all. I come from this, from gasoline drinking great-grandfathers and vodka drinking Grandpa Paul. How drink is what kills off our family men every time. How I am almost a man. I come from a father who also drank, who said I'd rather live a fast 40 than a slow 80, and so he did. A mother who let him go when the drink stole into the crevices of a good life, just as her mother had let her father go when 2 girls later and a large political career, he decided a younger wife and a prettier life would be more fun. Man, was he fun. At 55, he learned to ski just so he could teach his grandkids. Took us on Winnebago trips all around Alaska for king salmon fishing and camping outdoors. The men are always fun, both sides of the family, fun and enslaved by the booze and the fierce resistance to duty, being tied down. I like also how booze takes off the harness. Let me lead myself around like a chicken with her head cut off, just at the pleasure nerve, running, pecking, squawking. The men leave, erase themselves. So did I. I come from strong women who believed isolation was the closest form of communion. Women who may not have done what was right, but because they wanted to. I come from want. Here inside this tiny temple of mine, this citadel, I have met my great-grandfather in his grief. I have tasted the sincere regret of my father's irretrievable wishing for a slow 80, now almost 35 years later. I have been without a family of origin, connected in the reds and yellows and orange, the ombre fading of a perfect sunset inside my mind's eye where only God and the part of me that has no name can meet. I'm telling you, it's quiet in there, quiet as the reaching for the oil can, that pin drop last instant before abstinence gives up on itself and the whiskey bottle is tilted once again. I've been to the place before oil and whiskey and politics, before mothers and fathers and roles, before fishing poles and long dreams cast out like so many lures. Catch me this, will you? A name. I like the part of a man that has no name, a woman before her labels. I like the you before you got there, when it was summer 1976. There's something about the never-ending number of being 7 years old, no adults around. I knew back then even that to get to the heart of a thing, you had to cut right open, fillet that curiosity on an open grill, be bold. Then learn to tame and tamp down that directness. Make room for the person's name to be okay with you getting to the guts of it. I come from the guts of a thing. The messy, sticky, beautiful guts of you and I talking without all our roles, our borders, our face. I come from loving before knowing and feeling before seeing, and a small solitary promise to trust that everything, every single iota of every single thing is connected. And its connection, me digging a path with black on white, scratch on sniff, that compels me, moves me forever along this Mobius strip of being closer to us. I said, I'm going to spend the next year soul sourcing when my heart like a mighty steel door slammed open and stuck. I'm not soul searching, but soul sourcing. And I don't even know what that means, but I know it will not involve answers that are informed by liquids. And I suspect there's no way that speaking or not speaking will get me there. But I'm showing up because I come from pioneer men and women, and you haven't heard the half of them. And we take our pioneering seriously. This climbing up and out of every flavor of poverty you can think of. Mine is anorexic. This poverty starves myself of a life I already earned. It's curious like that, how you can hold a thing in your very hand and ask with all sincerity, how do I get this? My feet were bare and dirty and swift. They took me places. Even now in their fancy shuttles, Gucci, Christian Dior, Prada, Rag and Bone. But my knees hurt so the feet can't run, and I'm here where I came from, still trying to reconcile the home I'm living in. I also come from long, hard whirlwind of words that open doors and tear down walls. I come from God speak, from tender heartache and so much understanding it could have the moon. My humanity is a dinosaur still cruising the earth, maybe Highway 80, fast car, slow heartbeat, about as smart as a box of hair but wouldn't hurt a fly. Wisdom chaser, bag of religious bones. My mom might not love to hear my writing. There's that thing about moms, how everything we feel, see, think, do, somehow a reflection on them, of them. I don't know, I'm a mom too. My therapist said it's always the mother's fault, and that made me mad, but I knew it was true. Dads with their don't know any better hall pass. I come from hall passes and principal's office and greed, hungry for life and understanding, and goddamn it, I'll admit it as if my life depended on it. I came hungry for the words.